Hello creators and creative friends, welcome to the channel. Today I'm really excited to share a workflow with you. We are going to use iterative upscaling and tailed upscaling. These techniques will help you generate massive images packed with incredible details. Just take a look at the stunning images we can create with this method. Are you completely obsessed with those intricate details? I know I am. If you are too, you are going to love this workflow. I built this on Running Hub. It comes with all the required models and nodes pre-installed, so it saves you a lot of hassle. If you want to check it out, you can find the link right down in the video description. Let me break down how it works. This workflow uses a 3-pass image generation process. It sounds complex, but it is actually very straightforward. The first pass quickly generates a small image. This step is just so we can check and confirm the composition before we commit to the final piece. Moving on to the second pass, things get interesting. We quickly upscale that small image using an iterative process. This step starts adding a whole lot of nice details to the image. Finally, we reach the last group of nodes. In this third pass, I first use a dedicated upscaling model. This adds a nice layer of realistic details to the image. Next, the workflow crops the image into smaller tiles. It resamples all of these tiles together as a batch using the Krea 2 model. After that, it perfectly assembles them back into the original layout. This entire process upscales the image one more time. At the same time, it brings out even more stunning realism. Let us talk a bit more about that first pass. They are actually the exact same settings I introduced in my previous video, so I will not spend too much time on it today. In that older video, I showed you a 2-pass workflow. It was designed to get the best possible texture, detail, and realism out of the Krea 2 model. The only problem was the VRAM limit. That method simply could not generate giant images without running out of memory. If you missed that video and want to catch up, I have left a link for that in the description too. For today's workflow, I just set a very small resolution here. This allows for super fast generation. That way, we can quickly figure out if we like the composition. Just a quick reminder, you are totally free to use either SDXL or standard SD 1.5 models for this first group. Alright, let's move over to the second group. This is where the iterative upscaling happens. Look for the node called iterative upscale. Here you can set your upscale factor. For this example, I set it to 2. You could absolutely set it to 3 or 4 instead. Honestly though, you really do not need a large value here. The image is going to be upscaled at least 4 times in the final group anyway, so keeping it small now is fine. I have set the steps to 3. This means our upscaling process will be carefully divided into 3 separate steps. By using this iterative technique, the node makes sure the upscaling is gradual and controlled. Taking it slow like this really helps preserve the fine details and original textures of their image. You will also notice there are 2 step modes in this node. They are called simple and geometric. After running quite a few tests, I found that the geometric mode just gives better results. Next up is the upscaler provider. It functions a lot like a standard key sampler. You can easily set your sampler and your scheduler here. The tile size setting chops the image into manageable tiles. Because of this, you never have to worry about frustrating out-of-memory errors. For the sampler, let's just keep it set to Euler. We really do not need anything fancy for this part. For the scheduler, choose Krea Optimal. This specific scheduler does a fantastic job of keeping the image composition consistent. Now let's finally head over to the third and final group. I know there are a lot of nodes here, and it might look a little overwhelming at first glance. Do not worry at all. You really do not need to figure out what every single node does. Basically, this section just upscales the image using a specific model that you choose. For instance, I'm using a 4x FFH2 DAT model right here. This particular model is absolutely amazing for portraits. The 4x in the name simply means it will upscale the image 4 times its original size. You can also tweak the total upscale ratio by changing the scale by value. As an example, if you set that scale by ratio to 2, your overall upscale ratio jumps all the way up to 8. Of course, you are not limited to this model. You can also use models like 4x Ultra Sharp V2. Let's actually compare that one with the 4x FFHQ DAT model. On the left side of the screen, we have the Ultra Sharp version. Let's zoom right in on her face to take a closer look. Do you see that slightly unnatural skin texture? That is what the Ultra Sharp model generated. However, if we scroll down and check out the clothes, it's a different story. I actually think the fabric texture from the Ultra Sharp model looks a lot better. So, here is a pro tip. If you want the absolute best texture for both the skin and the clothes, you can do this. Just upscale the image twice using those two different models. Then you can easily merge the best parts of both into one perfect final image. After all this upscaling, the final image is going to be absolutely massive. It will be way too huge for your graphic card to handle all at once. That is exactly why this final setup node steps in. It takes that giant image and crops it into smaller tiles. Then it generates unique text prompts for every single tile. Finally, it feeds all that information into the Clown Shark sampler. Let's look at the tiling settings. My width factor is set to 2 and my height factor is set to 3. Multiplying those means we will end up with 6 individual tiles. You can easily adjust these factors to suit your own image. Right here on the screen, you can actually see the 6 different prompts the system generated for these tiles. When it comes to picking a sampler for this stage, I found that this 2M works the absolute best. I did test out a bunch of other samplers to be sure. For example, I tried the Abnorset 2M sampler. Let's compare the two so you can see the difference. The image on the right used the Abnorset 2M. You can definitely see that her skin has more texture. Unfortunately, it also created some weird artifacts. For instance, you can spot some stray hairs floating right above her eyebrow. Another pretty good option you can try is the REST4S Mountcast sampler. Let's compare that one against our favorite, the Days 2M. The image on the left is the Mountcast version. It looks good, but I still prefer the Days 2M overall. Alright, that covers everything for today's video. I hope you found this workflow helpful. If you want to download this exact workflow for yourself, please consider joining our community and support the channel. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.